Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over that sideways action on the Bitcoin chart, and we did get a nice pump off of the areas that I was talking about on the 1 hour. Now, this is the updated 1 hour, and you do see that continued bullishness. Now, guys, I was telling you that there was a chance for some pullback in yesterday's episode. Again, this is the 1 hour chart, so of course, this is like a days full of hours, right? We were over here. I was bullish on the chart. And I did say there was a chance that we could re-explore some of the lows back here. We did end up doing that. Basically, we tested the bearish control zone on yesterday's chart, and then we pumped up and got re-established ourselves above those key levels that I had marked out. And so what you can see is now we're putting in this kind of bullish structure, and you'll see that happening a lot. Markets won't just go in one direction. Again, guys, you have to think in terms of oscillations. There's kind of a simple harmonic kind of motion in trading, just the nature of buying and selling, being overbought and oversold. So you can't really freak out about these things unless you really violate, for example, the bearish control zone, or unless like you really get above the bullish control zone. You just don't have the right yet to be that bullish or that bearish. And you have to just understand that it is just a natural range that doesn't necessarily invalidate any of the conditions unless you start putting in some 4-hour candles, and just kind of really embedding the chart in one direction or another. Well, what you can see is that overall, on the 1 hour here, we still have that uptrend that I was talking about that we had been putting in. That is now continuing. You do see us holding these highs. And again, guys, what did I say yesterday? We're going to start putting in some type of an accumulation if we start holding this pattern. And so overall, let me turn off these EMAs. They are quite distracting. You can see that price action is holding the floor. It's holding the ceiling, and eventually the ceiling is going to give way. And so I still expect for us to try to grab some of that liquidity at 27,500-ish, if not maybe 27.7, and then we can talk about if there's a potential for us to get even higher should we be able to do that. Now, of course, there is the temptation on the downside to take out all of these stops, right? People are putting in stop limits over here. And so if the market just wants to liquidate them and then come back up, I mean, that's also a possibility. That's where we get double bottoms from, right, guys? Look at that. That's a double bottom. And so if we don't really breach this low significantly, or if we just kind of double bottom off of it, I'm still going to see this as the same type of bullish structure that's kind of being put in here as this thing rounds out and eventually starts looking like it might want to pop. Now, if we do break the lows over there, that we put in back here, then of course that would be the scary thing that, oh, maybe we're making a lower low and maybe this is a lower high, and that would be a downtrend. But for now, we can see a 1 hour uptrend with a pretty nicely held ceiling that could just explode to the upside. And let's say that we take out this neckline over here. Where could we be talking about just a reasonable target? We could be talking about something like, let's just say, yeah, again, 27.5. Okay, so that's just a reasonable kind of a small play. Should we get embedded above the bullish control zone here on the 1 hour? Again, if we get rejected under the bullish control zone, like we got rejected here, like we got rejected over here, we didn't really put in a 4-hour candle or anything up there, then what we could do is end up just re-exploring the lows, even again, that bearish control zone, like I said. But guys, we are currently above the volatility pivot, and we are currently above the momentum pool. We are above the 200, the 300, the 21, the 9, and the 4. Bullish, 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 bullish. Okay, so this thing is just going bullish. Now, you do see that we do have the 200 SMA, this really kind of skinny orange line that's kind of moving across here. And that has been a limiter on us. So are we going to get limited again, or are we going to flip that? I'm going to be looking for the flip of the 200, and it can't just be as simple as this one or this one. Those ones didn't make it, okay? We need to have a nice structure up here, something that tells me that we're really going to, have the potential to move up. just because, again, that 200 SMA has been a limiter on this move. And so either we get a power pump or we need to put in some type of structure that's not this kind of floppy, kind of rounded topish kind of thing, okay? And currently you can see this wick is higher than our current candle, so we're just not doing that yet. And also this area is lower than this area over here. So again, we're just not doing it yet. If we do take out these candles over here at 27.3 and start putting some structure up there, then I'm going to be saying, aha, yeah, probably this bullish control zone wants continuation. But we did get a nice pop. Of course, when we're looking at these type of time scales, you know, it's only like 0.5%, right? So really these are for leverage traders, but you can see what's going on, you know, on the smaller time frames, just to give you a clue of as what's may start to happen on the higher time frames. So I think I may start incorporating the 1 hour a bit more, especially on slower days, just in case you guys want some type of indication here. So these key levels are going to tell you, you know, if we drop below 27.38, then, you know, maybe your, you know, your 4 hours and your 6 hours might start having some problems. If you get above this 27, let's just say 300, then, you know, there's a potential that things could be moving in the right direction and we could be getting into the bullish control zone on the 1 hour. Really starting to push up there. And this chart is doing what it needs to do. Again, you can see it attempted to hold the 200 and the 300 EMAs over here. It failed, but it's trying again a little bit more bullishly this time. And so if it holds this time, I would expect, yeah, I mean, maybe in another day or so, maybe we could have a nice pop to the upside. Let's see. Of course, we do have to hold above that neutral point of control at 27,165. Guys, let's go ahead and jump over to the 6 hour. And the 6 hour does look very similar to what's going on the 1 hour, but with the added bonus, okay, with the added bonus that we are above the momentum pool and we are above the volatility pivot, right? On the 1 hour, volatility pivot is at our head. We're just bumping into that right now. And on the 6 hour, it's below us. So again, guys, you know, this is a good setup. If we close like um, this looks very interesting to me, okay? I mean, this does have a little bit of a downward angle here, so there is an indecision to it. It could bear flag to the downside. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? It could bear flag to the downside if we breach the volatility pivot at 27.70. But if we close above the momentum pool and we close above that volatility pivot, still my bias is going to be to the upside, where we're going to potentially be able to take out some of this liquidity up here at that 27.5. And then we're going to be talking about, can we flip 27,636? That's going to be the number to watch, 27,636. Flip that, we may have some pretty significant gains ahead of us. So we do have to watch out for that. If we lose 26,660, okay, to 6660, then you know, we could be seeing the same thing but to the downside. So currently bullish bias on the 6 hour. Guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the daily. The daily over here has a much different picture than the hourly and the 6 hour. Not in that we're not above the momentum pool. We are. In fact, it's so narrow I can barely even, you know, draw it out here. But basically, this area between 27.78 and 27.42, you know, more or less those key levels from the 1 hour and the 6 hour are holding us up here in a bullish posture. At least, you know, that's the floor that we're sitting on. And we're just deciding, are we going to flip the neutral point of control at 27,334? So what was the key level there for the 6 hour? The 6 hour was going to be, nope, I think actually we're fine here. 27,636 was what our stretch goal was for the 6 hour. And for the daily, yeah, pretty much the same area for the volatility pivot, 27,714. So again, if we get 27,714, then the daily is going to have an upward bias and the 6 hour is going to be in the bullish control zone. And so that would tell me that there's a very high likelihood that we're going to challenge this bullish control zone on the daily up here at 29,000. So we're trying to think steps ahead, okay? Like we're playing 3D chess here. Now the game board may not allow us to do that. It could drop below 27,042 and then we're going to be below the volatility pivot, below the momentum pool, and that could send us down even to 26,000, retesting these lows essentially, retesting support at the 300 EMA on the daily and the 200 EMA on the daily. But until that happens, I would say that we are in a neutral posture on the daily, and the bears have a slight edge. Okay, the bears have a slight edge. I want to see us above 27,334 on the daily if you're a day trader, and preferably, strongly preferably above 27,714 for that chance to pump. Okay, guys, the weekly is going to be closing, so let's check out the weekly. The weekly also has a very narrow momentum pool, and that's just a function of all this low volatility in the market where we've just been going sideways forever. And so these momentum pools, momentum is a function of how much something is pushing in a direction, right? And if it's just going sideways, it's not choosing a direction, there's literally no momentum, okay? So there's literally no momentum in the system, and we're kind of at the mercy of volatility. So if there's no momentum, that means that the volatility pivot is that much more important, okay? So which side of the volatility pivot are we on? We are on the bearish side of the volatility pivot on the weekly. In order to get on the bullish side, we need to close today above 28,695. So basically 28,700. And if we flip 29,640, then we're going to be in the bullish control zone on the daily. That means any random volatility could probably just see a skyrocket. But currently, we're not even in the momentum pool. We're under the momentum pool and we're under the volatility pivot, and that just suggests a bias to the downside. Now, why am I not super bearish about that? Well, we've got the 200 SMA, we've got the Bollinger Bands midline, we've got the 21 EMA, we've got the 50 EMA, we've got the 200 EMA, got the 35 EMA. All of these EMAs just sitting right underneath us. And what would really have to happen is we would really have to have several weeks of pushing down, maybe 1 or 2 more weeks, and then we could get some type of squeeze to the downside, potentially to 19,000. Okay, and we have this 300 EMA over here at 21.4. We have this kind of 50-ish. Maybe 55 over at 22. That's a SMA. And so, we could have a chance to kind of stop in that 21 to 22,000 should we get this squeeze to the downside. So for me personally, I'm not really looking any lower than 19,000. And I'm thinking that probably we reach some type of a balance here at 21 to 22, even if we do wick down lower. But of course, that remains to be seen. And that's just should we squeeze to the downside over the next few weeks. As for this close, it doesn't look great right now, but it's also pretty supported. So, maybe more sideways for longer. Okay, but I don't really think the week is what's been in charge of this chart necessarily. Again, you guys know that I believe that the 2 week has been in charge of this chart, and that there's just been some amazingly clean plays off of the 2 week. And so if we take a look at the 2 week here, we can see that actually we're on top of the 2 week momentum pool, and that we just bullishly tagged the 9 EMA on the 2 week. We basically could come down and tag the 21, and it would still be no problem whatsoever. Okay, the chart wouldn't be broken structurally. You can see these EMAs have a much healthier kind of spread out here, with really nice support down here at the bearish control zone with the both 200s, and then we are above the Bollinger Band midline. What I don't like is that we're pretty high above it, and so that does suggest that we could, come back down to it. And so if we do come back down, again, I don't mind if we revisit the neutral point of control somewhere around, the mid 25s, and then continue to go and flip the volatility pivot. I would prefer that we get above the volatility pivot here at 28,780. So again, that number of approximately 29,000 coming up multiple times as the key number to beat. And otherwise, we're just in no man's land. A little bit of differences of opinion depending on which time frame you're on, but overall, underneath 27, greater likelihood to the downside. Above 27, greater likelihood of just going sideways. And then above, 29K, probably we're going to get that push that we're looking at. Below, okay, below like 24.5, then greater likelihood that we get squeezed to the downside significantly. Okay, something like that. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. And, I hope you guys are doing well. I know the charts haven't been the most interesting, but, we'll keep you on top of it anyway. That's our alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.